The Martians trick humanity into thinking that they want to establish a friendly relationship with Earth. How can the people of Earth survive the attack? Let's all find out in the sci-fi comedy film Mars Attacks. One day, on farmland outside Kentucky, a farmer asks his colleague if his family is having a feast at the moment, saying that he's been smelling roast beef from afar. Confused, the colleague denies it, but he also smells what the farmer is talking about. Then, all of a sudden, they hear a rumbling noise coming their way. At the same time, the colleague's family, who are visibly scared, get out of their house and run to their father. As it turns out, the roasting beef they have been smelling are cows that are being burned alive running away from something. Just then, they all witness a flying saucer appear behind a house and fly into space. The spaceship goes straight to Mars. Shortly after, it goes back to Earth, followed by other Martian spaceships to surround the planet. The next day, in Washington, James Dale, the President of the United States of America, holds a meeting with his press secretary, Jerry Ross, the scientist Donald Kessler, and two soldiers named General Decker and General Casey. Overnight, the Hubble Space Telescope spots the Martian spaceships outside Earth's atmosphere, and they are talking about what to do about the situation. According to Jerry, the people will love this discovery, and it will make a good impression on James's administration if they will publicize this once-in-a-lifetime event. On the contrary, Decker wants to make the matter secret and attacks the Martian ships as soon as possible, thinking that they will invade the planet. Hearing this, the president asks for the opinion of Casey, who reminds them of the fact that they don't actually know if aliens are hostile or not. This is then seconded by Kessler, stating that the Martians have extremely advanced technology, which certainly means they're intelligent beings. In this sense, he equates the circumstances to believe that the aliens are not barbaric, therefore making them peaceful creatures. Considering all their opinions, James decides to go with Jerry's suggestion and orders him to write a good speech for his soon-to-be public address. Meanwhile, in a casino in Las Vegas, a retired boxer named Byron Williams works as an entertainer. During his shift, his ex-wife Louise calls to inform him that their two sons, Cedric and Neville, are still not coming home for 2 nights already. Feeling the worry in her voice, Byron consoles her, saying that she's already doing her best attending to their sons and working at the same time. Besides, their children are just reaching the age where they like to explore things, so she has nothing to worry about. Before ending the call, he asks if it's okay for him to come and visit their sons, to which Luis agrees. Somewhere else in the building, a fancy casino operator, Art Land, is arguing with his wife, Barbara. She wants to leave the casino, scolding Art for drinking in front of her. Barbara turns out to be undergoing rehabilitation so she can overcome her drinking addiction. However, instead of listening to his wife, Art just gives her chips so she could play and leave him alone. Concurrently, in a broadcast company in New York City, they receive a call notifying them that the president will interrupt their program for a public announcement. A talk show host named Natalie Lake calls her boyfriend Jason Stone, a reporter from another network, about the president's interruption of her program, but he is as clueless as her. Shortly after, James's public address about the looming Martian ships just outside the Earth airs on TV. The broadcast catches the attention of many people all over the United States, including Art, who is talking to his investors on the phone, boasting that he had already thought of the ideas of the Martians for his casino even before the actual Martian shows up, as well as Richie Norris, a donut shop employee in Kansas, who fails to notice that his boss is behind him. Later, Richie goes home and finds his brother, Billy Glenn, practicing his speed in assembling a gun. As it turns out, he enlists in the Martian Detail, a troop that will be deployed to greet the incoming Martian envoy. The next morning comes, and as expected, the news about the aliens has blown up. In their apartment, Natalie and Jason receive a call when they are reading about the news. It is Natalie's broadcast company setting her up for an interview with Kessler in her program. Knowing this, Jason feels kind of frustrated that Natalie's network gets to interview Kessler first. Later, Natalie is in preparation to interview Kessler, and the two start to flirt with each other. When the interview begins, Natalie asks how humanity missed the Martians when they already sent space probes to the Red Planet. According to the professor, it might be because the probes only searched the surface of Mars and not its canals, which turned out to be canyons. Kessler firmly believes that Martian civilization has been happening beneath the surface of their planet. As the interview goes on, Natalie and Kessler cannot help themselves but flirt, which is noticed by Jason, who's watching her program. Suddenly, the broadcast is cut short when the Martian leader interferes with the signal to send Earth a message. Showing itself for the first time, it is revealed that the Martian race is a humanoid being with a thin body but a very large brain. Of course, nobody understands the alien language that the Martian leader is speaking. Later that day, the president and his officials hold a meeting about the recent encounter with the alien. First, Kessler describes the alien based on what he had seen in its appearance. Pointing at the diagram of the Martian that they created, he believes that the aliens are carbon-based life forms that use nitrogen to breathe. Also, its large brain indicates that they have telepathic potential. Hearing all this, James asks if his opinion about their intentions on Earth has changed, to which Kessler answers no. On the contrary, he believes that the human race possesses more threats to the Martians compared to what the aliens can do to them. In terms of their message earlier, Kessler and his colleague already have a prototype translator that they can use to decipher the Martian language. Playing a translated version of the alien's message, they get more confused as to what the alien means to say because it still sounds like nonsense. The following day, the White House holds a press conference and announces that the president is already in talks with other world leaders to come up with a consensus on how they will deal with the Martians. At midnight, the aliens send a coordinate to where they will land the next day. Decker immediately wakes up the president to inform him of Martian's message and tells him that he's ready to send his troops anytime to deal with them. However, Kessler argues that they must not provoke the aliens into thinking that they want to fight with them. Thinking carefully, James knows that both Decker and Kessler are right, so he orders Casey to send his troops to the aliens' landing zone and prepare a hospitable military welcome for them. When the sun rises, the military opens the Martian welcoming event to the public, so a bunch of people, including Barbara, gather in the desert to witness the Martians' arrival. Different media and broadcasting networks also set up their posts to air the once-in-a-lifetime event to the whole world. Shortly after, the Martians finally arrive and everyone looks at them with awe. When the Martian ambassador, along with his guards, approaches Casey, he communicates with them using the translator and welcomes them to Earth. The ambassador responds in their language, which later on translates that they come in peace. Hearing this, the crowd rejoices and a man releases a dove that flies in the direction of the Martian leader. Just as when they think everything is going well, the ambassador suddenly shoots the bird with a ray gun, which eventually leads to chaos as the guards shoot other people as well. The military fights back, but the Martians' armories are way more advanced than theirs. Although they manage to take down one alien, the casualties on the human side are a lot, including Casey, who is killed on the spot by the ambassador, Billy Glenn, who stupidly acted as if he could take them on, and Jason, who tried to help Natalie. Speaking of Natalie, she and her dog are then abducted by the aliens. At the White House, James and his family, along with Decker, Kessler, and Jerry, see in the news the horrible outcome of the event and are all speechless. Decker gets angrier at the aliens, suggesting again that they must attack now. Yet Kessler's misplaced optimism acts up again, saying that it must have been a case of miscommunication and cultural misunderstanding. Jerry, on the other hand, thinks they should put up a town hall to gather the public's opinion about the incident. Caught between so many different opinions, James asks for the help of his wife, Marcia, who frankly states that she wants the Martians out of Earth as soon as possible, agreeing with Decker's suggestion. But Taffy, the president's daughter, sided with Kessler, speculating that maybe the dove meant war for the Martians. At this time, James remembers that the aliens said they come in peace and only attack after seeing the dove. Due to that, the president decides to send a message of apology to the Martians in hope of re-establishing a friendly relationship with them. However, receiving the message, the Martians just laugh it off. It is then revealed that they are doing horrible experiments with Natalie and her dog as they interchange their heads, putting the dog's head in Natalie's body and vice versa. Afterward, they send a message back to Earth, issuing a formal apology for what happened and asking to meet with Congress, agreeing to build friendship between the two races. As Kessler and Jerry relay the information to James, the president gets prideful, declaring that this will be the biggest contribution of his administration in history. Another welcoming event is prepared to greet the aliens once again, but this time, soldiers are holding signs prohibiting the crowd from clapping or releasing any bird. However, this turns out to be a trap by the Martians because as soon as they meet with Congress, the aliens kill them all and abduct Kessler. Decker, who's leading the military detail, cannot do anything as the aliens beat and violate them twice in a row. He tries to fight back, even shooting them with heavy artillery, but still cannot do any damage to the aliens or their ship. After the incident, the president holds another meeting, but with the military forces this time around, and apologizes to Decker for not following his advice before. Forgiving the president, Decker hands him a written order that will grant him permission to use nuclear weapons in dealing with the aliens. But James holds back at the idea of using nukes on the Martians, saying he doesn't want to start a war. Instead, he wants the people to know that despite the 2 consecutive attacks, the government is still capable of protecting them. Going back to the Martian ship, Kessler wakes up only to find out that he's only a head now. Shortly after, Natalie with the dog's body greets him, and they talk about the time they were flirting on her show instead of the horrible state they're currently in. Meanwhile, the Martians send off one alien that is disguised as a blonde woman to Earth. As the blonde woman catches the attention of the womanizer Jerry, the Martian takes advantage of him to infiltrate the White House. After they enter a private room, the Martian waits for the opportunity to kill Jerry and go to assassinate the president. As luck would have it for James, their dog barks at the alien, waking him and his wife up and allowing them to avoid getting killed. After ringing the alarm, James charges at the alien, which causes himself to get hostage. But as they move to another room, the alien gets distracted by the bird inside. Acting quickly, the presidential guards shoot the alien dead. The death of their kind angers the Martian ambassador, causing it to order a full-scale attack on Earth. The attack begins in the White House, where the president and his family are immediately taken into the security bunker. However, as they make their way through the chaos, Taffy gets separated from her family. Noticing this, Marcia panics and gets stunned in her place, ending up dying as the chandelier falls on her. At the same time, Cedric and Neville, who happen to be in the White House for a school trip, get caught in the chaos. Using their video game knowledge, they shoot off the aliens and kill them, helping evacuate the president to the bunker. Meanwhile, in the casino, Art is having a meeting with his investors when the aliens attack them. Not minding the danger behind him, Art dies while thinking about his beloved money as his building collapses on the ground. Concurrently, Byron calls Louise to inform her that he cannot go home because his flight is canceled. On the other line, Cedric and Neville are already home, guarding their mother and their house against the Martians. At this time, Barbara shows up and asks Byron if he knows someone who can fly a plane. Now that Art is already dead, she wants to go to Tahoe Caves, believing that the aliens will not find it. Byron agrees to find her a pilot. In exchange, he needs her to help get to Washington to pick up Louise and their children. Just then, the famous singer Tom Jones, who's performing as a guest artist in the casino, bumps into them, saying that the aliens are after him. But their conversation is interrupted by a gambler that's a fan of his and asks for his autograph. As the Martians arrive at the main floor, Byron takes down one of them. He then asks Tom if he can fly a plane, to which he says yes. So he, Barbara, Tom, the gambler, and another entertainer named Cindy make their way to Barbara's private plane. On their way, the gambler rudely asks why Byron is acting like their leader and leaves the group. Alone, he encounters a Martian and tries to bribe it, but it just kills him. Not long after, the others reach the plane, but as Byron and Cindy open the hangar, they see a squad of Martians outside. Sacrificing himself, Byron decides to fight all of them to let the others escape. Despite his strength, Byron gets outnumbered by the aliens as they attack him all together. Concurrently, Richie heads home only to find out that his parents didn't bother to pick up her grandmother from the nursing home. Pissed, he leaves them to die in the hands of an alien who's piloting a giant mecha robot while he goes to save his grandmother. Driving as fast as he can, Richie outran the mecha robot, which gets caught up in wires and trips. Arriving at the nursing home, he nearly misses the opportunity to save his grandmother as the Martians point at her the large ray gun. By good fortune, when the headphones that she's using get unplugged from the radio, the music blasts the aliens' heads off, killing them. As it turns out, high-note music is the weakness of the aliens as it hurts their brains, eventually causing them to explode. Seeing this, Richie realizes he has found the way to beat the Martians. Meanwhile, James receives a call from the president of France saying that he just had a meeting with the Martian ambassador and they came up with a peaceful agreement. Knowing that it's a trap, James tries to warn him, but it's already too late for them since the aliens have started the massacre. The Martians then destroy every known landmark in different countries, such as the Eiffel Tower in France, Big Ben in London, Mount Rushmore in South Dakota, and many more. Losing hope, James is ready to surrender, but Decker reminds him that they still have nuclear weapons. With no other options available, he finally signs the executive order and launches an attack on the alien ships. Unfortunately for them, the Martians have a technology that absorbs the blast of the nuclear bomb. And to add more insult, the Martian leader feeds on it, showing that it's useless against them. Shortly after, the Martian leader with its 2 guards find where the president is, and Decker immediately shoots them. Unfortunately, bullets don't work on them, so the leader casually shrinks the general to step on him, and they proceed to kill everyone in the room except for the President of the United States. Having enough of this madness, James confronts the Martian leader, evoking an inspirational speech about how many opportunities they wasted just because they decide to be enemies instead of being friends. At first, the Martian leader seems moved and convinced by James's speech, even tearing up while listening to him. However, as the 2 leaders shake hands, the Martian's arm detaches from its body and crawls into James's back, stabbing him. At this moment, the Martians claim victory as they put up their flag on the dead body of the president. Yet they have no idea that Richie and his grandmother are driving to the local radio station to play the song that can kill the aliens. As the music gets broadcasted around the world, the Martians start dying one by one. This gives hope to humanity as they finally have a way to fight off the aliens. In the meantime, Natalie and Kessler kiss before the spaceship they're currently in crashes, along with the other Martian ships. When the sun rises, Barbara, Tom, and Cindy reach the Tahoe Caves where they bond with all the animals there. Back in Washington, Richie and his grandmother are awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for essentially saving the world. But because the president and other government officials are dead, it's Taffy, who somehow survived the attack, awards the medal to them. It is also revealed that Byron survived the battle, and he manages to get home to Louise and his children, ready to rebuild their family again. The movie ends with Tom Jones singing for the celebration of humanity's victory. Mars Attacks is okay, but one hell of a mess for a movie. It wants to focus on so many characters that it ended up focusing on none. Although it's understandable that they spend the first half of the movie building up the main characters, they still failed to make any one of them compelling. The only character that has potential, which is Richie, is criminally underused in the film that you won't expect him to be the savior. Overall, Mars Attacks can definitely do more, only if they just focus.